after a very long hiatus, are finally back. Prem Pals is back. How you been, Sean?
I've been fantastical. It's a fun word that I like to use on the regular. And yes, I have definitely been fantastical. I think the break did better for me than you guys. I mean, we'll get into it, but it's been a rocky road for United. So getting to come back on and we're in a decent spot in comparison is it's nice.
Yeah, I
Welcome,
mean, you
Rick.
got kind of lucky we didn't have to pod in that middle part. Yeah, I mean, it's been several months. I've been doing I've basically just been being a dad and working on dad jokes. So, do you want to
Yeah,
hear one?
I sure do.
All right. Why was the baby jalapeno wearing a jacket?
Because it was chilly.
Because it was a little chilly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got a similar one actually, and
There
we
you
didn't
go.
rehearse this, folks. We didn't rehearse. I heard this on Masters of the Air, that part of the trilogy show of the Band of Brothers from Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks. And one of the characters is trying to flirt with a woman, and she's like, "Make me laugh, tell me a joke." He's like, "What's the difference between a hippo and a Zippo?"
No idea.
One's a heavy animal, and the other one's a little lighter. And those match up pretty well, I
Yeah,
gotta
man.
say.
I'm all
I
about the dad
if
jokes. My
this was
wife doesn't like
scripted,
them, but I like
if
them.
this was the NFL, people would have been like, "You definitely wrote that ahead of
Yeah,
time."
that's been planned. But I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
let's
and he got
start.
married. You can't skip it. You've been married, but
Oh,
you
that's
got
true.
married.
That's
It's
true.
been that long.
I've
It's been
been
that long.
married and then I got married for an
We
actual
took an
ceremony. So it's been a
we took
while.
an
Yeah.
awesome adventure down to Mexico, and they just did something super spectacular. So,
It worked
anyways,
out.
celebrations on celebrations, and now we're talking lack of celebrations.
What are you, first off, before we get into the footy, looks like you got a fresh, clean kit. Looks like you
Yeah.
opened it minutes before this podcast. Is that a fair
That
assumption?
is that is not a lie. That is not a lie. I took the tag off right before this. Yes, this is our third kit, which I was on the fence about at first. When I first saw the concept, I was like, Newcastle, it's too close and everything. And then I saw the promotion ads where they had them looking
Yeah.
like they're an Abercrombie and Fitch models, and I was like, worse. And then I saw it on the pitch, and I was like, hey, it's not too bad. And of course, I had to go with the new up and coming superstar.
Garnacho. Good choice.
Yes, and obviously he's a bigger, if not just as big a fan of Cristiano Ronaldo as I am, and loving watching him recreate the celebrations, especially after that snake. Di Maria told him that he should be celebrating like Messi instead of CR7. So,
Ah,
yeah, had
so it's
to.
a sick kit. I mean, like
Many
it doesn't strike me as United, like if you didn't see the badge, but like from just a pure like football fashion standpoint, that's a sick kit. I saw someone
Yeah,
wearing one down here in Mexico recently, and I was like, that's a nice kit.
yeah, and it's just one of those things where you're kind of like, are they going to get this crazy again? And if they are, it'll be a while. So I kind of went for it. I did the same thing with that really fluorescent green one that came out a couple of seasons ago. I got Martinez right when he came in, and it just looks like it's like a shirt for an Xbox competitor or something.
So I've
Anyway,
got see if
yes.
you
What do you
can.
have on?
I'm gonna cover up the badge here.
Okay, it's a Mexico jersey of some sort, right? Is
Nope,
that the
nope,
America? What is that?
nope, nope. So this is like, I
Oh,
mean,
that's that. Oh, that's that blue one that you said that you liked Ajax, but you didn't
nope,
like their color. No. Okay.
nope. So
Let's.
this is like, if you just look at this, if you're watching on YouTube, this is like a template from 1996. This Adidas template. National teams, they did like all the national teams in the same template. Uh, Ask me yes or no questions to try to determine what country this jersey is for. It's blue and white for those listening.
Okay. And for a little background, Alex is a world traveler and
Yep.
loved
Everything
before
international.
getting married and getting and having a child. He traveled the world so much that he would come back and then leave again for 2 years and be a nomad. But there's one thing that say consistency. He always really liked Latino culture and people. So I'm having to think that it is definitely in that realm. Is that
Nope.
yes or no?
Nope.
No. So we're talking Europe.
Nope.
No.
No.
Talking deeper south, America.
Nope.
Wow. It's, an island of some sort. Is this place
Correct.
mythical?
It's an island. It's an island.
Is this place mythical? Is it real?
It's if it honestly feels mythical. It is real. I have been
Wow.
there.
Uh, is it what do they speak Spanish in this
Nope.
island?
They speak a
They speak
language
Mandarin,
only.
Mandarin.
No, but you're getting closer there. You're very close. Geographically, sort of. It's in Asia.
Are we talking Japan?
We are talking Japan.
Okay.
There you go.
Yes. Yes, and that's the top of my travel list. Very
Oh,
top is
that's
Tokyo, and then and the surrounding areas. And if I have time, I'd like to venture
Japan
into the actual
is
culture of it.
sick.
It is
Big
my on the
country.
very
And I
top.
think that they're, I mean, actually this Asian Cup, which I've been following because of sunny South Korea, they did terrible. But the last World Cup, they were playing some scintillating stuff. So yeah, no, a big fan of Japan as a country culture and I like their footy team as well. So repping that
Yeah,
1996 Japan kit just randomly for the pod today. But
I like it. I like it. I get all the notifications from football mall because I
oh
follow
nice.
them. And so like at three
Legit.
in the morning, it'll be like Japan scored fifth goal. And I'm like, can't read that name, but yes.
Yes. So let's settle. I wouldn't say settle an argument, but we've been going back and forth about,
Yes.
the directions of our clubs, the direction of football in general, um, and just kind of how the Premier League is changing over time. So what I want to talk about before we get into like the results and stuff is sort of this idea of project football versus sort of instant gratification. And I think we definitely have different directions that our clubs are going right now. But I kind of wanted to just start with your take on like, you were kind of saying in today's sort of, social media world, now, no one has patience. It's more about, having the right ownership to spend money to buy and get a title now. Is that kind of how you see success being earned in modern football?
Yeah, I think we have a different outlook, I guess is what it is. Don't even disagree. It's just a different outlook. For me, I agree with a lot of what you would like to be still instilled in football and the mentality and the way that football is built and created and a team and a club, how they, because everybody has the same similar verbiage, like it's a rebuilding year. It's they need this much time to get to this point, and that it's just, the squad, and then you have to get the inside, and it's management, and it's further than that. Like there's all these things that people like to talk about. There's just no time for it in the modern game. And unfortunately, this is unfortunate. Like I wish that it was as passionate and driven by the area that the club is actually in, but it's no longer like that. Once money was integrated in such a heavy fashion, I think there was like, it's going to take a long time to find a way to adjust that. And I don't think that FFP, as you've mentioned, is going to be the exact answer, because there'll be a loophole, because basically it's on what you spend and the revenue that you make. So who's to say that some of these countries then don't do like when you're cheating to get likes on, you can buy 100,000 likes on social media. Who's to say that these countries won't get certain, populations, hey, buy out all these kits, like here we go. Here's this check, make it look like it's spread out from all these people. That'll be
Falsified
money that
revenue.
we've earned,
Sure.
and they'll find a way, is what I'm saying. So now that this money, and once they figure out how to continue spending the money, such as City did, and we'll get into that because you have this theory of, it took City this long, took SFA this long, and know that the values of a club should be instilled from that pattern of building from the ground up. My thing is, I just don't see it happening in that sense with that much grace period for managers, for owners, things like that. It is such an instant gratification from the fan standpoint, because as football is changing, as we're seeing the Champions League change from number of games, how long the seasons are going to be now, the games in between these 4 tournaments that we're in, right? It's like, how do you pace that all into not buying and spending to get a club, not just a starting 11, but a depth on the bench, such as City? Because both of
Yeah.
our clubs suffer from that right now.
Too thin. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I think I totally agree with you from like a spectator, like a fanalist standpoint that like, we lose two games and we're like, oh, what the fuck's going on? We suck. This is bullshit, right? Like, and just by losing two games. But if you do look at the teams who have created, quote unquote dynasties or have had success, Sir Alex Ferguson, it took him 4 years to earn any silverware at United.
And
Klopp, it
6 years.
took him
Yeah.
4 years to earn any silverware at Liverpool. Even Pep took two full seasons and billions of dollars to earn any silverware. So like, I think it does take time to win. And I think this idea of, that you could just get the right manager, right players in one season and win is never going to happen. Like we always make fun of farmers leagues and say like,
Yeah.
oh, the Bundesliga is a one league team, Ligue 1 is a one league team. Dude, City's one of the five of the last 6 years. We're kind of a one league team right now as well, right? And I think
Yeah.
the only thing that it can help us here, in my opinion, is FFP. And I think FFP is coming in and like, who knows? City have so much money, they have so much legal power. They'll probably find their way to not get as penalized as they should or to delay this for another decade. But if Everton lost 10 points and they have one FFP count against them, City have like 117 against them. So I mean, we're talking maybe they get their title stripped. Who knows what happens in the past? But you know damn well that moving forward, they're not going to be able to spend like they did the last 10 years, right? Newcastle aren't either. I think that this is coming in and showing, hey, guess what? This is what happened before. That's in the past. Maybe you keep your titles, maybe you don't. But even this transfer window, did any of the big six other than Tottenham spend money? No, because they're too afraid to, because they're afraid to breach financials. So I do think that like one thing when we're talking about long-term financials is Tottenham have suffered in the last 10 years immensely. When we made it to a Champions League final, that was after three transfer windows of no transfers because we were paying for a stadium and we didn't want to, create any financial errors, overspend, that type of thing. We got this Spursy moniker because we always made it close, but we never won. But we were also competing with billion-dollar squads, literally not buying a single player for 2 years. And so, I mean, we've suffered. And now I think we're in the direction of reaping the benefits because we're literally the only club in the top six that, investigations have, aren't against us and showing that, we're in breach of FFP. So, yeah, I mean, I actually do think FFP is already making an impact on the league.
I mean, I agree with that from the standpoint of, and I'm sure like if I was in the shoes of a Tottenham fan watching finally some exciting ball where your mentality is like, oh, this is progression because I can see this going somewhere. Whereas even in your Poch era, you were kind of like, this is stagnant, kind of a lot of boring football that's getting us the draws and the points that we need to stay relevant. But I mean, it's not like always exciting to like wake up and be like, I can't wait because I think we have a chance of beating City and Liverpool today. In those days, you guys were still, bite your nails like, oh, if we get a surprise win and this will keep us in this top four race. Also, what you have to think about though is that a team like City, so it's not just instant gratification. I've talked about you have to have that winning mentality, and it's hard to build that to where when I joke with you about like no trophies, no silverware, this and that, and yes, you did back in the day, but City won the league in 2014. They were winning stuff
Yeah, yeah.
way before Pep. Like even if you go to week of, and I hate to bring up these stats because I'm despise them, but have to do due diligence and of course the research before we having these conversations. Even if you go onto Wikipedia itself, there's like a whole section. It's like the second golden era arrival of Pep Guardiola, and it goes through all of their accolades that they were winning. They won the League Cup and the Premier League in 2014. They had a couple bad half seasons, and then they jumped right back into winning tons of stuff before Pep even got onto the scene. So even if we start the illegal process of whatever happened when Pep came on, they still had a foundation of the mentality of like, hey, we're going somewhere. To whereas when you're chatting about the progression of Tottenham, like it's going to take us 4 seasons, this and that. I also mentioned today that players are going to get older. People like Son, who I admire. I'll take him at whatever age. And we've been poaching older players the last 3 transfer windows anyway, and I would take them. But you have to, like when you get start building a core around a young unit. And I don't want to say we're doing it correctly at all, but what I do love to see is the picture from this weekend of Hoyland, Mainu, and Ganacho, during the celebration, because that just definitely gives you hope that those are players on the first team that can go in there and start doing a job, and you're not like, oh, they're just in because this person's injured and so forth. I just think all that kind of falls into that category of like where the money is coming from, where it's going, and how it's going to back the mentality of moving forward as a club. And I just think in today's game, it's hard to implement the value of the badge. You want to be here for this long and you're going to sign. There's no franchise players. It's like it's really, really hard. So when I say instant gratification, it's not just from the fans. I think from a business standpoint, it's really hard to be like, we're not making enough money while we're playing attractive football. We're not
Yeah.
bringing in the numbers, and you get money with City. They've already set up now money wise, everything that they've won, they can take away the titles. But from the revenue standpoint, they've made umpteenth amount of money, especially with that
Yeah.
treble. It's like, so for the next 10 years, they will get to spend.
Yeah. And I mean, one thing though, like, yes, Pep didn't start until 2016, but Sheikh Mansour or whatever took over in 2008. So even the titles they won before Pep were still tainted in overspending, right? Like even during
Yeah.
the Mancini era, I think they were overspending. But I think you made a good point there. And honestly, like I always say this, and you're like, what? Like, how can you be excited about that? But like what's exciting about Spurs isn't just this financial component of like, right now Spurs are the most financially safe club in the world. We produce more revenue than City, more than United, more than Arsenal, more than any club on earth. Any football club. Tottenham creates the most because we did all these boring things. Like we created a London event space that we do Beyonce concerts. We have a go-kart track in the stadium. All this bullshit that sounded boring has been great. But what I'm most excited about is the investment into youth development, which you got onto. So coaching, scouting, data analysis. I was listening to a podcast last week, and they're comparing Tottenham's current under 18 group as similar to the class of 92. Last year, we won the U18s and the U17s. We have, arguably the most exciting youth prospect in England. And what we're also doing is every year, while we are signing Madisons and, Van de Vens and these players, every season we're buying at least one or two youth players and adding them to our youth academy. So you look at Bergval. Bergval was, top three most exciting youth prospects in Europe right now, right? Destined for Barcelona. All of a sudden, we swooped in and hijacked that transfer, and he came to us because he saw the project ahead. You look at, and we loaned him back. You look at Udogi. You look at Sar, starters this year. We bought them years ago, loaned them back. So I think that we're really future proofing and future planning here. We're in a good place financially. And for once, we're not playing Conte, Mourinho, boring ass football, right? We're playing fun football. So like when I say like I'm excited about the project, I don't expect to win the league. No way. We joked about it in the beginning, can we? But like no Tottenham fan expects to win the league for probably several years. But for once, finally, it seems like all the ducks in a row are from youth development to restructuring the club to our current manager to the players we're buying. I mean, look at the purchases we've made are outstanding. I mean, Van de Ven is great. Vicario is great. So I think it's just all of these stars aligning for Spurs right now, where if we do this podcast 5 years from now, it could be very different, right? So I'm joking when I think Tottenham could win the league this year. Do I think we're in the conversation of competing in the top four? For sure. But do I think we'll win the league? Hell no. Look at these other teams. It's impossible. So yeah, my point when we have these kind of debates is more, I do think United is a little bit the opposite. And I like to say, Tottenham are playing chess while United are playing checkers, in the sense of United had a lot of pull, but you guys have spent poorly. You've overpaid for players. You can't sell players because you brought them on for wages too high. Like it's more, you were looking for instant gratification, buying these players to hopefully get a title in the next year or two, whereas Tottenham are more like, hopefully we can get one in the next decade. Right. So it's just a different mentality, and it's really just ownership that does that. So
Yeah, no, I 100% that I see, your stance and the way you perceive that as well. But our instant gratification was actually more trying to sustain gratification, because 2013, even though that's 10 almost 11 years ago now, in football years, it's like seasons fly by, and
yeah,
if teams are doing well for the next 3 or 4 years, they're going to hold on to those spots. And if they buy correctly, we were we're still thriving up until, SFA left. And when we changed management, things started falling apart. And the way that the board and the owners, which, it's a whole different story, to keep this toy shiny was just to be like, let's match up. Let's just get, something that costs the same. And hopefully once we just implement that, we're just moving around and changing out the old piece of paper over in the cracks, didn't fall that way for us. And then when it comes to, the youth development, the biggest thing is, we have been buying we were and have been buying quite a bit of promising young players. That Hannibal, if you watch Hannibal's tapes from when he was a kid, he was more of like a Messi style. Like he just stuck to his foot, moving around, just really beautiful football touches on the ball. Then when we saw him get his introduction to the first team, he's this guy that's just going crazy to the bone, like defensively, just trying to do anything in the world to get the ball to show coaching staff that like, hey, I'm physically okay to be here. That's a big thing. It's like sometimes you, as your youth, you don't grow into the position physically correctly. Look at James Garner. He's over at Everton doing decent, but when we let him go is because, first of all, he's one of the only people that we could get money for. Second of all, he just didn't physically fit the roles that we were looking for, a holding CDM. Like, we didn't know that Mainu at his age and his size was going to be that, but it's his mentality of it. We were looking more for an exact 1-1 replacement for Casemiro, size, strength, and everything like that. So it's a gamble, because we're doing pretty well. We have a lot of fun things going on in our U18s right now. We're blowing people out, but it's the transition from that to first team, even training. It's a lot. And we see a lot of these players go by the wayside, selling these younger players before they even get that chance to get denied.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. It's a gamble for sure. But and you want in your head for that all to measure up, because in under 18, everyone's still just hitting adolescence or have that late growth spurt type scenario, so it's kind of
Oh,
an
it's so
uneven,
true.
maturity level there. But I mean, I would love it to be the old way, where it was newspapers that you had to go and see on a Sunday to see what was who was interested in who, and there wasn't all these leaks and there wasn't all this, but also just the mentality of the football was so much more passionate because you actually had to
Yeah.
go to the grounds and feel it, because television wasn't showing every match like they are now. Like if you were anywhere below the top 8, you weren't getting shown unless you were playing them. It's like
Yeah.
those lower
There's a
teams weren't
disconnect
even.
between
Yeah,
online fans and fans who go on the
yeah,
ground. I
yeah,
think you make a good point too. And maybe FFP will force teams to be, more focused on their youth academy, but you make a good point in that, like, and this is something Spurs have done, I think, with the help of hiring one of those City executives, Scott Munn, who used to work for Citigroup, now works for Spurs, is that we had the same problem of like, you may produce youth talent, but then how do you fit them into the first team, right? They don't fit in. What we've done over the last year is basically everyone down to our U16s and even younger are playing Ange ball in the exact
mhm,
same formation and the exact same everything, right? So if they've been playing that since they were 13 years old and then they become, eligible to break into the first team, that's a lot easier transition if you've been playing the exact same formations, the same stuff. It's something we just seems so simple, but it's not something that Tottenham did in the past. It was just, you got certain players, you play them a certain way, but this idea of actually, okay, let's have them break into the first team. And luckily with Harry Kane, there's a lot of youth players now like, holy shit, you actually could be in the youth in the youth academy of a team and go all the way up to be one of the best in the world, right? So a
yeah.
lot of people look at him like, holy shit, there's a possibility. But yeah, I'm happy to hear United is, I mean, you can see it. Minu's great, and you guys have always had a decent academy of pulling players through. But yeah, getting them to fit, that's always the tough part.
Yeah, and I hate seeing some of the stats from some of these younger cats, like Kai Rooney. Wayne Rooney's son is destroying it and under 16 right now. Like the guy is just putting in goals. He's already had like for a kid a long-term injury that it was a few months, but for a kid when you're supposed to just bounce back from stuff,
Like a year.
he's already got all these sponsors, and Nike is looking at all these people are like, why not? But like the dude's putting in, obviously doesn't have the power, but he's got that mentality where he is just picking up where Rooney left off. And there might be a moment where you just don't hear about him again. That's kind of how it is. Like they get to a certain point and other people catch up or they fall, behind a
Yeah.
little bit. And you're just like, what happened to that player that we were getting all these highlight reels? Because on, the Manchester United channel, they want to highlight that, especially when the first team's not doing well. They don't have a lot of highlights from that. They're trying to like smoke screen and be like, look at this. Well, look at this up and come player. Be excited about this. And then all of a sudden it's just like, next thing you hear about him is like sold to some random Swedish, league team because they want to play first team football. And you're like, but then the highlight is, we have a buyback clause. Hopefully they get good.
Yeah,
So it's
but
just
then
a
you
fifty
check
fifty
5 years
thing.
later and they're playing for MK Dons in League Two,
Yeah.
and you're like, what
Yeah.
the
So,
hell?
yeah. Yeah. So, I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, it's all hopes that I wish that football does regain that type of passion, and not to say that there isn't from each club's fans, but it's hard when you're trying to build a squad and people like you and I who are analyzing what's going on in football to be like, no, this is the pure way to do it, and then this one is a little more toxic way to do it. I just think like there's got to be a bridge in the middle to where we can get passion as well as finances to where it makes it fair for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I think we'll see. The FFP thing could be a farce, and City could find it. Like you said, like you just have to prove certain revenues. So then they'll just go get all of Bangladesh to buy kit. You know what I mean? Like you're right.
Exactly.
There's always ways around it, but at least it's harder, I guess. I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
the problem is the city has built not just Man City. They have built a juggernaut of world football. Look at
Yeah.
Girona. Girona, their other team they own is winning La Liga right now, and they can just poach their talent away. And
Yeah.
they've got teams in Austria and the US. Like
Yes. Yeah.
they're
What does their New York City team even look like? Haven't watched MLS in quite a while, but
NYCFC. I went to a game once. I
yeah,
think it's
yeah.
in
No, I went to one of their games with your little brother, and oh, was that us? Was that all four of us? No,
No, I
you
don't
had
think I
just
went.
left because it was
I don't
me,
think they're
him,
very
and
good, actually.
Reaver. But we got to see Kaká. He was with them
Yeah,
that time.
yeah. But let's transition into the results of the weekend. Let's
Yes,
start with
let's do it.
yours
Let's
because it
do
was
because
better.
finally,
3 nil.
yeah, it's finally, it's one of those you look at and you're just like, those are the results, that you see when you're just looking at the day's rosters and you're like, oh, there's a nice 3-0 win from whoever to whoever. And then when it happens to us, to United, just because we're just so unpredictable, you, watching the game, I didn't see it coming. I thought it was going to be 2-1. Like I was always thinking they're about to get one
West Ham are
back.
legit.
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
legit.
yeah. And with Callum Phillips joining the squad, you don't know how he's going to pan out. He's kind of like a Mount character with us right now. You don't know really where that's going to go, and he's not integrating really well. And I think it's all that time that he spent, benched at City that it really affected his just personality and his confidence, and he just does not look like the same
What a
player from
waste.
Leeds that was it happens to more players than none. Look at
Yeah.
Van der Beek, he's off to wherever and he's not playing well there, and he spent 3 years on the bench here. It's just insane and it was Ten Hag was his man. I don't it is a
Well,
waste when you
it's
see that
Calvin
happening.
Phillips is more sad too because like he was a Leeds boy. I think he was born in
Yeah,
Leeds,
yeah,
and he
like
was
he
like their
stayed when they were
captain,
doing.
and then they get relegated. But like, it's just crazy. Then go sit on the bench. I mean, yes, he's won everything now. He's won a treble, but like at the same time, like I don't know. Is he going to make the
Is it
England
worth
team
it?
now?
Is it worth it?
Like
Well,
so.
If Southgate is the manager, then probably the guy just picks people based on I don't know what. But anyway, back to the results. I felt like we played pretty well, and again, the youth really shine. Mainu is just cool, calm, collected. This actually wasn't his best match performance wise, but he just didn't do anything wrong. So there's nothing to critique or to highlight. The player's doing his job. He's doing as a midfielder, as a holding, and he's actually going to be probably play better as like a six, or I mean, he can play 6 or 8 and still do a great job.
How
I
old is
don't
he?
want. He is 18.
God, wild man.
Yeah, yeah, and he's the predecessor to Casemiro at this point. But which is kind of it's going to be rough, not rough, but I don't know if we should pigeonhole him into that because he does have a lot of talent, and that goal that he scored, that's something you need to watch. The final goal against who was it? Was it Brentford? Yeah, it was Brentford. Was it? Was the game before this? Yeah, Brentford, right? Three,
No, we played Brentford before
but
that.
2 matches ago. Wait, why am I getting confused?
You guys
We
had
had
the Newport County game.
no, was after that? What were
Wolves,
we? Wolves, yes, where we had the 3-3, and at the very end, Mainu snatches the winner in
97th minute.
90s, and it is a
I
beauty.
saw
Like,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
he cuts back, nutmeg, pulls in, straight up skulls-y. Like it is very reminiscent. And then his celebration after it, where he's just like not doing the Ronaldo combo, like, and then he runs over the side. And he does like this, like Greek kind of slide. It's like he's got, if he stays,
That's some
from getting
flair.
injured, yeah. And I got to see him in Vegas, and he got injured soon after that, actually, and so he didn't get to start the season. So it was nice to see him integrate well. But the youth played really well. Ganacho got a couple, and they were just nice, beautiful goals that you should score, that United just haven't been able to put in, or teams that miss it. And you're like, oh, come on, man. Like, you got to take a hold of your chances. He put in two of those beauties, and then Rasmus scores on his birthday, his 21st birthday. He put one in and then did the little leg guitar celebration. And so seeing them play well, it was all worth it. And I think that the rest of the team, Casemiro being back, he's integrating back into playing more minutes and getting better. And yeah, then Martinez, though injury does not look good. He's definitely probably out for the season.
I
He
saw
walked
this
off
morning,
and
actually, it's not an ACL though. It may just
yeah,
be 6 to 8
yeah,
weeks. So
yeah. But the thing is, he's just been having so many issues that
yeah.
with the foot, and then he came off precautionary the match before and was immediately icing the second surgery on the foot, and then he gets this leg injury. It's just a lot on the same leg to, like,
Yeah.
even if it's a 6 to 8 week, we won't utilize him fully for matches. Like he'll get, half an hour here and there. It's because we can't afford to lose this guy. He makes instant, impact. The back four, when
Yeah.
Varane and him are back, it's amazing. Maguire again made a couple of mistakes that were covered by other players this weekend, but just having those, it's like you've talked about with Tottenham. It's so much different to watch your team play at full capacity, or
Yeah.
more strength, even if it's at 80%. Like it's
Yeah.
just such a different game. Like when you're watching certain portion, the third three portions of the field, and you know that you can just be looking at the forward section because you're like, okay, we're going to make it there, or it won't go back here, or the pass is going to go the right way. Little stuff like that. So all in
Yeah.
all, I was pleased by the performance, and I got to take a nap after that without being like, oh, when I open my phone, I'm gonna have a barrage of like, again, you got whooped again.
I got a question for you after Rashford's 24-hour tequila bender.
Yeah.
Are Rashford's best days at United behind him or ahead of him?
I think they're still ahead of him. I think
He's
that
27 this year, so I mean he's
yeah, yeah.
not old, but he's not
I think
young.
yeah. It's a mentality thing again. Seeing Ganacho come in, I think put a big dent in that confidence of like how he was at his age, and how he raised through the ranks pretty quick, because he's been with us for a while now.
Long time.
Yeah, so like he's turning 27, but we saw him step on the field at 17,
Yeah.
18. So, and I own that kit. But no, I think that he's realizing what everyone's been saying. Off the left, he got stuck in that way. It's like, if I don't put my head down and try to dribble all the way through the box and take a shot, I'm worth nothing. I don't know how to cross really well with my left foot, so I have to do something to get closer to the box and then maybe tap it back to somebody. He's learning now how to utilize what he does have, and instead of just going right to the line and pinching it back, he's finding ways to contribute to people who are running onto the ball, and really looking up before he starts making that little zigzag, try to attempt and get the ball
Yeah.
stolen over and over, and then hands in the air, and then everyone's like, oh, look at his attitude, get him out of there, blah blah blah. He's starting to definitely realize he had a great season last year, but it's also one of those things that teams in the offseason were like, look, this is the way to shut this guy down. Like,
But I
don't
mean,
let him get it.
does he still have your full confidence? Like you see these like loose links. I find these headlines so stupid. Like PSG might be interested in Rashford. It's like that's
Yeah.
not a headline. But at the
Well,
same
they were
time,
interested.
considering like you've had some bad buys with like Sancho,
Yeah.
Martial, I don't know about that one, Anthony. You're probably in some debt here. You could definitely get, maybe close to 100 or 80 mil for Rashford going to PSG. Like, are you still like, no fucking way? Like he's United through and through. I see him, or it's like, it might be a chance to, quell some of that debt and maybe give him a chance somewhere else. Maybe he might, I don't know. I hate PSG. I would hate to see him go there for England's sake. But I mean, does he still have your full backing, or are you starting to waver a little bit? Like, you know what? Like maybe someone else might take that role better.
I am in a position to where I'll actually be very clear about this because I don't have to think about that necessarily because he did just sign a brand new contract like right after last season.
Got it.
So he has the ability to stay if he plays well based on the contract. It's already there. We're not worrying about like, do we sign him for this or do we have to ask him to take down his wages? He's getting paid the most on the squad as is. So he needs to live up to that performance, right? So if he doesn't, would I sell him? Yes, 100%. Like I love him. He is still one of my favorite, has been my favorite player for quite some time with United. But would I sell him if he at the end of if he goes back to just head down, feel sorry for me, this and that? And I would have been more upset about the night out if immediately didn't come back and score right after that. Like he scored
Yeah.
in 9 minutes into the match right after that, after starting, and everyone's like, well, look what you did to Sancho, and why is he disciplined this way and this way? And because one was public and the other one was private. Doesn't matter. If you're performing and you can shut up the critics that way, and you're not just shutting, but you're doing it for yourself, and then you play well 2 consecutive games and showing that you're being less selfish, that's the way that you show that you've learned the lesson, that you've been listening to what's going on, not being like, oh, I'm just here to be like, shh, shh. Like, no, I need you to do more. I need you to be a part of the squad at this point, because with the youngsters coming up, now you're the old head. You need to be giving them advice on how, to calmly play these big matches, how to get into the right positions instead of just trying to be the hero and show them this is what you're supposed to be like. But yes, I would sell him if he doesn't start producing, continue to produce into the next year. I would say we give him until January of next year. If beginning of season he's a dud again, I think we start considering, because there's just no point in holding on to somebody that's going to hit 30s before we know it and walk away for free after making 350 a week.
But he's
But I
one of
do
those
love him and I love
guys
his
where
passion.
like, I mean, I felt like Kane probably is this way too, but like seeing Kane in a Bayern kit was so weird. Seeing Rashford in a kit that's not United would just be
Yeah.
bizarre. Like that's
Oh
all you've
yeah.
ever seen him in. Yeah, like it just
Yeah.
I can't even
Oh
picture it in my head, but like I don't know. I mean, like I think he's crucial to the England team. He's got
yeah.
pace, Sterling, I don't know if Sterling's, starting for England anymore. Like for the Euros coming up, like I really would like him to find form. But I don't know. I some games I watch it, I'm like, he's still got it. In other games, I'm like, what is he? He can just be a ghost.
Just silence. Yeah. Silence. And you also just have to think about, like, hopefully we make the right signings to where um, he finds people that match up with him, because Hoyland's not going to be able to be our only striker for the next 4 or 5 years. Like, we're going to have to buy somebody else,
Yeah,
and Hoyland's going to not have to get his feelings hurt when he's splitting his time now. Because right now it's perfect, because he's getting the minutes, he's
he's the
getting that
guy.
that feeling of being in there in those rough games and getting beat up. 90 minutes, 90 minutes, 90 minutes. So when it comes time to the being able to contribute when there's another striker, you should be powerful and precise, at that point. And so when we bring in somebody, I think that we're going to bring in someone with a little bit of experience, so somebody who's a little bit older. And I think whoever that is, maybe they match up better with Rashford, and whoever comes in the midfield when Casemiro eventually leaves, maybe it opens up a better relationship with Mainu and Rashford, because right now Mainu is holding and not really, he's linking the two, the defense and the midfield and the forward. But who knows who that next person is going to come in the midfield, and maybe they have a better relationship. So we'll see what Rashford's fate is. But for me, I love him. I want him to stay. I want him to succeed. I want to continue buying his kits, because he's just forever been and given me some really fun moments since Ronaldo has left. Just some really exciting moments. So I hope that it works out for him, but I wouldn't be prone to selling if it doesn't. Just this way of football.
Yeah. Let's pivot
Well,
to a more depressing
yeah, I was about to
depressing
say, what
result.
about y'all's results?
Spurs 2, Everton 2. Lost it on basically an own goal in the 94th minute, last second of the game. Cuti Romero bounced off his head, and then Branthwaite, kicked it in there.
Who
I
did
think the
though? Who's
most
who said did it come off?
Cuti Romero, best center back alive.
Mm, mm.
Um,
Hmm.
But I mean, typical Dyche ball. Like
Yeah.
credit to him, they stunk out the game in a great way. Dyche is a genius. So like okay, I keep talking about how Vicario is the best goalkeeper in the Premier League, with Allison, how he performed against Liverpool or how he performed against Arsenal. I think maybe he actually is, but he has a clear weakness that Pep basically figured out in that, we're not protecting goalkeepers anymore in the box. That's basically been established, right? A player can come in and just straight up box out the keeper. And Vicario, coming from the Italian league, he doesn't push
Not used to
on them
that
much.
push.
And he's literally we lost the City match because Ruben Diaz literally just knocked him out of the way. And then we lost the Everton match exactly, or we drew. It lost, in my opinion. We drew for the exact same reasons. So this is a problem that we need to fix. I actually saw an analysis video earlier today. Arsenal have been brilliant about doing this. They've been using Gabriel and Saliba to box out the keeper, and they've scored from so many set pieces in doing so. So, I mean, I think if the Premier League precedent is that's okay, I'm fine with it. But like there has been games. I think there was a game that Hoyland got called for obstructing a keeper. So
Yeah,
there's just a
and
bit of
I bring it up
inconsistency.
so much. I'm just like, how are we getting? We got penalized, and all these other people like, nope, no call, and the ref is doing the waving it off like absolutely nothing.
Yeah. So I would like to see consistency, but it is, I mean, a little bit of a gap in Vicario's game. I think it's something we can, do better on, but it was pretty disappointing. I didn't think we played well that game. The only narrative that is a crazy narrative because we were talking about Richarlison like he was trash, and he was earlier in the season. He has 9 goals in the last 8 games. Like, what in the hell? Where the hell? He had
What
surgery,
the
and all of a
hell?
sudden he's great. So, I mean,
He
I
is
was
playing well.
already
He is playing well. I
yeah, he's
gotta give
playing
it to
really
him.
well. So I mean, I was already like, I can't wait to replace him in the summer. He was an okay stopgap, didn't do much, but now like I'm all aboard the Richie train. Like he offers a lot on defense. He's been scoring goals with both feet, with his head. He's super physical, so he's done really well. So at least him getting a brace in that game was something positive. But like you said, like I'm just yearning for that full 11. Like that game on November 6th of last year during, Chelsea, where 4 players got injured and 2 red cards, we've still not had our starting 11. And, now we finally got Basuma and Sarr coming back from AFCON because both Mali and Senegal lost. Unfortunately, Son has been an absolute hero for South Korea, just scored like a 95th winner to get them through to the next level. So they're in the semifinals. So we won't have Son
Nice.
back for a while, but we're close. We're getting closer, like that 90%. But gosh, I just have these like, when we in the beginning of the season had our starting 11 all together, all flying. Oh my God, we were such a good team, and it's just so frustrating that we just can't get back there. But at least, because of the financial stuff we talked about earlier, we did make 2 key signings during the January transfer window. We were lacking defense, so we brought in Dragusin, who
I
hasn't
was gonna
played
ask,
much.
how did he play in this Everton match? I didn't get to watch that. I
So
watched some of the highlights.
we've been bringing him on in like the 75th minute and then putting 3 center backs at the
So
back.
that's a
And so
lot
I
of
think it's,
pressure.
yeah, I honestly don't like it. It's too hard to say. He honestly came in like a jackhammer and was just like pushing people like almost like too aggressive. I think just to try to like, I'm brand new. I
Yeah,
want to,
yeah.
show it, but he looks crazy. Like he's very athletic, very huge height on his jump, very physical. It'll be interesting to see. And then the other one, Timo Werner, like that came out of nowhere. There was no rumors. All of a sudden, I looked at my phone. I was like, Timo Werner for a 6-month loan deal? But in his
Man,
first 2 games, he got 3 assists. Like he's absolutely the worst shooter of the ball I think I've ever seen in my life.
it
But
is
he's yeah,
so bad. Like you watch these shots and you think you're like it can't get worse. Like from Chelsea,
oh,
there's no way it could get worse. He's been gone, went back to the Red Bulls, so like he got his confidence back. Right, it should be great. And then you watch him just sky these.
he did it in his
What is
first
he
game with
doing during
us.
training? What is he doing during training that they're
He
like,
should never
whoa,
be allowed to shoot. He can't shoot, but he's very quick. He can cut
good
a
hold up.
pass.
Oh yeah, hold
Yeah, and like
still.
I mean, he actually fits Ange Ball very well. So like he's a stopgap, right? When Sonny gets back, it's going to be Richarlison in the center, Son on the left, and Kulusevski on the right. But it's nice to have more depth in the position, and also a 6-month loan with no obligation, and it's only 18 million to buy him for. Right now I'd buy him for 18 million. Is nothing these days in the modern market. So I've actually been impressed other than when he's shooting. It's just atrocious. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I came off such a high off that Brentford game. They were actually really tough, I thought. We got through that. It was an ugly win, but it was a win. We're 10 seconds away from beating Everton. We're still comfortably, in that top four conversation. I think we're 6 points above you guys, and we're in fifth and you're in sixth. But Aston Villa, they had a big win, 5-0 in their last game. So yeah, I mean it was disappointing. But at the same time, I'm so stoked with Ange and the direction of the club. A lot of these players are just coming back from injury. I need to have realistic expectations, but nobody's happy with 2-2 draw with possible relegation Everton. So, but actually
Yeah,
we
but
have a horrible record at Everton away. I don't think we've beat one at Everton away in like 3 or 4 seasons for some reason. So,
yeah, but that I mean it's kind of a false position with the deduction of points. Like
yeah.
they're not that bad, and it's like you said, Deitch has it in the locker to pull out gritty wins. And what they do with City? Did they beat City? Who did they beat? They beat someone big.
Yeah,
Was it
they've had a
Liverpool?
few of those results. I mean,
Who
I
like
all respect for Dyche, man. Like
yeah.
they
Oh
do
yeah.
what they do. He's a great manager. I hope they don't go down. I'd rather see
Yeah. Yeah.
Brentford go down.
Yeah. He's one
Um,
of the few managers that have that meme that there's only one man that can save this team now. When they show him, I'm like, hey, actually that that is someone I would call up for, an interim like guy if we were looking at someone bigger, even at the
yeah,
big
to
clubs.
save the ship.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure, for
So,
sure.
so let's talk grand scheme of things. We're over halfway through the season now. We should probably go back and listen to our expectations for the season before it because I'm sure they've changed drastically.
I'm still sticking with
Um,
United's winning the league, bro.
what do you think though? Like honestly, like let's do a top six, top down. I'll start in terms of my top six. So I think City are going to win again. I think Arsenal will get second. I think Liverpool will get third. I think Spurs will get fourth. I think Villa will get fifth. United will get sixth.
Okay, I see all those people, same people, but I switch top two and three. I say City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Aston Villa.
Oof.
Oh, I mean, have y'all played y'all second game against him?
No, I think we've only played them once.
And do you guys have them later or earlier in
I
this
think we have.
second
Let me
part?
see.
Yeah, I'd look up. That might change my opinion.
So we play them on March 10th.
March
They
10th.
beat us 2-1 last time.
Mm. No, yeah, I'd probably leave the last. I don't know. They're playing well, and we've got them on Saturday next
They're
weekend.
playing well, but they've also had games where I mean, so have we though,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we
where they
beat
look
them. We beat
amazing and
them
then they
last
look
time.
like shit. Yeah.
So I'm thinking of
I think
coming
they're
back
gonna
with a
fall off.
vengeance.
I almost think that, United could pop up into fifth too. Like, I don't know. Brighton like when they played us, I was like, holy shit, Brighton are so good. And then the next game they got
They got
smashed.
beat like 4-0 by
Yeah.
Brentford or something. Who they get beat or
We play them
who
this weekend again, and like they worry me because they can play well, but
yeah, beat by somebody like 4-0. But yeah, those last three positions, I would say Tottenham, Aston Villa, and United. I want to with all my heart to say that my club is gonna push to get into that fifth spot, but it's just really we're all over the place, and unless we do like another three strong wins, I don't, I mean, we could
well,
get in
it's
the top
tight
four.
around you
We could
too.
sneak in the top four, but it would take a falling off of points from you guys for us. I'm not really worried about Ashton Villa too much because it's like you just mentioned, they have some games they're playing well, and then crucial games that they're not putting away. So I think
But
it'd
I
be
mean,
between
Brighton's
you and
only
I
three
for
points
for
back.
for fifth.
Brighton's 3 points back. West Ham's only 2 points back. Newcastle's 5 points back. I mean, I do think some of these teams, if they have a strong, I think it's going to be tight. But are you one of those supporters where, I mean, I guess you guys won the Europa League and that was probably pretty fun. Like there used to be Tottenham fans, and I always thought this is ridiculous because we haven't won anything. Like I wouldn't mind being in the Conference League because that's something maybe we could win. But there's a lot of Spurs
It's something,
fans who
yeah.
are like, no, it's either Champions League or I'd rather get eighth. So we don't like this year has been helpful for us not having European football. I think we're doing better because of it. Like, are you like United's too big for Europa League? I'd rather
No,
not have
no, not at
European
the.
football.
Well, nobody wants to watch football on Thursday, obviously, but you have to take your gateway into the Champions League because you don't know what your squad's going
Yeah.
to look like the year that you actually play. It's not even the year you qualify for Europa. It's who you buy and the team that you have when you play the tournament. Because going into Champions League at the match that I went and saw in Vegas, which is just for the American viewers to see some of the players that you don't see. So it wasn't like competitive as an exhibition of anything. But even in that, I was like, oh, man, this is not good. This is not good. Like you can just tell that like in that type of a competition, we should have gone there and just put like 6-7 against whoever. It could have been, any big team too. But in those, no one's playing their strongest squad right before you start the season. So that kind of gives you a sense of where you are, because that's a lot of your bench players, a lot of your new signings, coming in and showing their worth. So I knew, I was like, so for me going into Europa, I mean, you take it at this point, but right now, fifth gets you Champions League
Yeah.
with the new rules, and which is going to be a whole nother basket of
It's
craziness
going
to
to be,
discuss
I
next
think
year.
it's going to come down to the wire for both top four. And like, I don't think City walk it, but I can see, I mean, that Arsenal win was actually frighteningly convincing. I thought, like, I did think Liverpool made some mistakes, but I think Arsenal was just outplayed them. Like, they were just the better team. That worries me a little bit, but it's City. Like, I mean, they got De Bruyne back, they got Holland back, right? Like,
And
yes,
they still have a game in hand,
and they still have a game in hand. So, like,
and
yeah,
they're
we'll
in second.
see. Yeah. What about the
Just chilling.
bottom? Who's going down?
Going down, down, down. I mean, again, that's hard because it's like I feel like
I
it's
mean, it's
too early.
it's Burnley and Sheffield
It
United for sure, but it's the
yeah,
third one.
but it's hard to even say that because the fight for the bottom is even more
Exciting.
like and just tough. Like come the end of the season, like they're fighting for every point, so they could be playing a full starting Liverpool squad of all their best players, and they could potentially, Sheffield could potentially win because they have to win. So they're going to do everything they can to win. To whereas Liverpool will be like, oh, we can draw that, or maybe we got it. So
I'd like to
I
see
think
Luton stay up, but I'd also like to see Everton stay up. Like for me, it would be Forest or Brentford going down. I mean, Crystal Palace would be hilarious, but I don't think they'd go down. But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be, dude,
I think
Luton
it's
just,
I think it's Burnley, Sheffield, and um, I think it's Nottingham Forest. No, no. They're not playing badly.
I know a
Neither
lot
are
of these
neither
teams
are
aren't.
Luton. Neither are Luton. I was watching. I texted you saying like Luton are putting
Adebayo. Yeah.
goals in, bro. Like what? So I mean, it might be Everton or Crystal Palace, based because
Yeah.
Everton's are looking at another deduction of points. They're looking at that second, and
Forest are looking at a potential deduction. Wolves a potential deduction. There's a lot of them going around. We'll see.
yeah. So
I would kind of like to see Luton stay up.
Burnley, Sheffield, and oh, I mean, if Everton doesn't get that deduction, I think they stay up, and it's Crystal Palace, which would be crazy too, because then Alicia would go on crazy sale. Keep seeing this headline: Man City and are gonna fight Manchester United for Elise. I was like, fight? What? Why? What? In what world do these
He's so
journalists live in
good.
that think that like he's gonna come to United? I mean, unless the
I
charges
mean,
go
for
through,
playing time though, like he's
Yeah,
not going to
but
start at City.
he's not gonna start at United
Yeah, you're
over
right.
Ganacho right now.
Yeah,
And
you're
we
right.
have our mod waiting in the wings too. Like he
He's
hasn't
better
even
than
gotten a touch.
Rashford, dude. He's
Yeah,
better
and
than
we're gonna
Rashford.
sell. I mean, then we have a problem with Anthony. It's like we paid 90 mil for this dude. That's just not it.
Yeah,
Like
he's got to go to
whether you like
Saudi
it.
to even get three quarters of that because no one's
Yeah,
buying him.
Yeah.
But I
So
think
bringing
Elise's,
another right-sided winger though, it's just not why. Why would we do that?
yeah, you're right.
That'd be exactly what we're trying to get away from right now.
You
It's
need
the reason
center
why we're
backs.
hiring different, for director of football. That's why we're hiring people because we've been making these really ridiculous mistakes that you mentioned earlier of paying way too much for players that are half the cost because
And they
of
don't fit the
not just on
system.
their ability, but because we wait so long and we make it known that we want them, and so they ring us, and then getting stuck in these long-term contracts where they're paying crazy amounts of money that they just don't live up to. So we're trying to get away from that. Like, why would we? Even if he only costs 60, it's still a lot to be in a race with three other players that
And
are
also,
worth.
you have tons of players in that
Yeah,
position. Like you
yeah,
have that guy from
so,
what, Uruguay. You have like
yeah. Uh,
Palestri. You have
Palestra, yeah, who's on a loan.
you have way
That's
too
what I'm
many of
saying.
those guys.
Armad, when you see Armad come back full strength, like he's sitting on the bench, and that little kid's got talent, but
No,
we
you
keep
need center backs. You need, I mean, your midfield is so old too. Like Ericsson's, Casemiro, these guys don't have much gas left in the tank. I mean, you need
mania.
some,
That's just what we got.
yeah,
18-year-old that's leading the
he's got gas.
charge. Yeah, what we need to add to that, and I like McTominay to come off the bench, but I don't like anytime we start at all. Like it's just not good enough. So yeah, midfield and center backs, but those are all the things we've been eyeing for a while. If we're looking at, we're not going to be looking at a right winger. We're already looking at replacement for Delo, who's playing pretty well on the right side, and then Shaw is going to be, you know, elder soon.
Yeah,
He's going to be hitting his 30s. So there again, Malacia, it's just going to be coming off injury. We got a lot of spots. I just don't think the
yeah,
right wing is a priority.
no. All right, last question before we end it. Who's going to win the Champions League?
Oof, man.
I'm going Bayern. I just can't.
It's what it was in my head, but I just don't. I don't know.
You
I
know
don't
what's going to be
know.
so funny though? Like they
I
already
think we're
lost the domestic cup. They're gonna
yeah.
lose, dude. They're not gonna win. Like next weekend, actually, if you want to tune into a
I
non-Premier
think
League game,
Real can pull it.
they could. If you want to tune into a non-Premier League game, that's going to be really interesting. Next weekend is Leverkusen versus Bayern.
It's
Leverkusen
just
are
with the manager
undefeated
that
under
yeah.
Xabi Alonso.
Uh-huh.
They're currently number one in the league, but they're only 2 points up on Bayern. But I mean, how I don't I still love the guy, so I don't want this to happen to him. Imagine he goes to Germany and then somehow doesn't win a trophy with Bayern. It's just like this dude can't catch a fucking break, man. He's one of the best strike. He's for me, he's the best striker in the world. I don't know who is better right in this current moment in time. Holland last year, sure, but right now it's got to be Kane. And so, how could the best striker in the world never win anything? That's insane, isn't it?
I already
Like,
hit you with that with the greatest line of the year. He's used to it.
yeah, he is used to it. He's gonna go win the Euros, though.
I like how that's where the texting for the day ended. You're like, and we're done.
Well, he's not my Kane anymore,
I
so
know, but still, it still gets you a little bit. You're like,
I feel for him, dude. He deserves something,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. Well, for all the commotion that it's worth, it's like
Yeah.
he thought he was going to go to a for sure thing, but that's football. Nothing's for sure. I think Real will pull off Champions League in the true fashion because there are some teams that are just better at certain tournaments,
Yeah, but
and
they have
they've
no
got that
center
tournament
backs. They're
number.
all injured. Like they just,
Yeah,
I
but
watched the Real Madrid Atletico game yesterday, and like they were playing a fullback as a center back. So like the problem is their defense, but
hey,
it's
that's not a
Real.
big thing. When we have Luke Shaw playing at left center, it's actually our best left center besides Martinez.
Yeah.
It's like so, and that's what we're thinking is going to happen when Malacia comes back from injuries, and he's going to be permanent left, and Shaw will slip
I
in.
mean, I gotta believe that's your number one place to strengthen is center back because,
Oh
like,
yeah, but it's everybody's just so many injuries going on there. Like Van Dyke, man, he got made a fool of yesterday.
that was ridiculous. Yeah.
He looked embarrassed. Again, turned around first, just not communicating well, right through the legs, the own goal at the end, like
I mean,
because
do
that
you
went
think
off of him.
Klopp saying like why wouldn't Klopp just hold that inside until the summer? Because I just feel like
I love it.
players are going to lose motivation, right? Like the thing that scares me though is Xavi Alonso just runs it this year, wins the Bundesliga, and then comes to Liverpool, and he's looking like he's going to be such a good manager already. Like I really hope that doesn't happen. I hope he
I
holds
think
out for Real Madrid instead.
I think he did it for the incentive factor. Like he
Yeah.
wants to do the SFA.
His
I'm
legacy.
leaving on the high note, win the league, leave when you're getting the trophy, do your speech. Thank you, amazing, tears, you're not alone, song, all the stuff, Klopp chant, everything, instead of, having an empty bus during COVID just to celebrate a win that nobody remembers or talks about. Even Liverpool fans are like, no, we won it. Just didn't. Oh, yeah? Show me. Show me that picture of that celebration bus and all your fans going. Because didn't they say they were going to, even though they postponed it, they were going to do a late celebration? They just
Yeah.
never did. Like, are they going to do
Because
it
that's
now?
lame. Yeah, I mean suckers. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. I'd still be claiming it too if we would have won it. But
Hell
like,
yeah.
no, that's a notch on the who. And you think it's going to be Byron that's going to win it?
I mean, I think it could be City. Like if I had to say like top two choices, I'd say City or Bayern. I honestly think most sane people would also put Arsenal in that conversation, but I refuse to because I hate them. But I mean Arsenal, they've been playing well in the tournament. I actually my sleeper pick is Real Sociedad. I think that they have a
Oh,
tremendous team, and I think they're really good. They're sitting like fourth in La Liga right now. I think that they're awesome, super fun to watch.
yeah.
But
If
I wouldn't mind seeing Kane win the Champions League with Bayern. That'd be nice.
if
Fun.
City let the league slip, then they'll definitely go all in on Champions League.
I mean,
Pep
can
would
you
rather
imagine
have two
this?
of those
Imagine
back
this,
to back.
Sean.
No,
Eric
not two
Dyer.
trebles. No. Oh,
Eric Dyer holding the Champions League trophy. He started the last three games. What the hell is going on? Eric Dyer is playing for Bayern and starting. I get it, they have injuries, but like he wasn't even making our bench. He was so bad. How was he
it's
going to starting at Bayern? I don't get it. And he played
that
well.
well, and that's the difference. That's why people call certain leagues farmer leagues and this and that. What
Yeah.
people don't understand is that different physicality and different sizes and qualities in a player, their attributes are more highlighted in different leagues. Like if Rashford went to PSG and played in that league, he would
Oh, he
run
probably crush
shit,
it.
be killing it, And it's
Yeah.
just like when Werner is back in the German league, he's scoring goals. It's like, what's that other striker? Fuck, I can't remember his name, but anytime he came to Premier League, he was terrible. But when he was in other leagues, is he at Juventus now
There's
or
been a lot of
Atletico
guys like that.
Atletico Madrid? Morata.
Murata,
Like,
yeah.
yeah,
He's
like that guy
killing it right
bounces
now.
around, but like, yeah, anytime he's not in the Premier League, he's playing well. It's the same thing with a lot of players. So you have to think that they looked at that and they looked at the size and his mentality, and like he does play, really passionate football. Like it works for them, especially if you're getting a fresh start. And I'm sure Kane was like, "I got you."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think they just the joke was like they just wanted a buddy for Kane to go over there.
Yeah, why not? Why not? They can
But
have Maguire too if they want
I
triple
mean,
hair,
Maguire's been decent though. I mean, like
double hair.
as a
He's not
backup
bad. He's not.
center back,
He
he's
has
a
been playing all
great
right.
backup center
Yeah,
back, right? Like he's physical. He
yeah,
has offensive threat. Like as a backup, I'd take him as
yeah.
a backup, but
Yeah,
not as a
no, no,
starter.
no. I don't mind him. I don't mind. I don't think he's going to want to stay in that role for very long. And he
No.
also made two old school, not old school, but the one crucial mistakes that he was getting bantered for this last match. Like one, he just like misjudged the ball that just went over his head, and he was just lost. And Delo had to go sliding in his whole body to like stop the ball. Like and Maguire's like hands and head again, like, and then one where he got
Poor
the ball
guy.
from the keeper and just was like juggling, and it got taken away from him and almost scored. He was like, and they were like back to back, and everyone was like, no, no, dear God, no, not again.
You think he
But
still starts for England in the Euros?
of course, who starts over him?
I mean,
That what's
Stones
his
should
name?
start, right?
Yeah,
Stones should start, but then
and
like who starts with him? I mean,
there's just that what's the center back from? Is it
Tamori.
Chelsea? Yeah, Tamori. Yeah,
Yeah, but like for some
is
reason
he with
Southgate
Chelsea?
doesn't like Tamori. No, he's at Milan. The Chelsea
No, not
guy,
Tamori. Yeah, it starts with a T.
Colwill.
Yeah, I like him, but he's a wing. He's a
He's
left back,
good.
right back, right?
I mean, I
Left
think he's
back.
been playing a bit of both. I mean, there's not a nailed on center backs for England. That's probably our weakest position. Like the Crystal Palace guy's all right. Guay, he's all right.
Weakest position
Um,
is Gareth Southgate. That's our
maybe.
weakest position.
I mean, he's done pretty
If
well. If he
Could you
wins this
imagine if
year,
he left and Mourinho came in to play England's?
no,
Look
no,
at your
God, no.
face.
There's only one manager in the world I hate more than Mourinho, Antonio Conte. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, that guy did nothing for y'all team. And I remember I
Oh,
was
he
like, oh, I
ruined
can't
it.
believe we missed out on that. And you were like,
Oh,
yes, this is amazing. Look at the passion. He's good on the sideline. This is amazing.
he made me like he made me hate football. Like I hate
Yeah.
like I would watch
Yeah.
the games and just be like, I hate this. I'm not having fun
Yeah.
at all. I hate
Yeah.
everything about it.
Yeah. But he gave up before he was sacked, and that was
He
the
never
sad
wanted the
thing.
job in the first place. He thought it was
Yeah.
beneath him.
Yeah. Well,
So
that's history. Now you've got this fun guy that answers questions rightfully so. Like I
hilarious.
saw that press conference actually. I'm glad this came up where they were talking about the season, and where what defines progress for the season because now that you can't win the league was the question. Now that you can't not going to win any trophies and you can't win the league is top four your priority. And he's just like, oh, you could say it, you could say because the
Yeah.
interviewer was like, oh, I didn't mean it like that. And he's like, no, you can just be strong on it. You said it. It's fine. Yeah, yeah. I do enjoy the
He's
way
a
he does
human.
press conference. Yeah, I do get that. But also, I mean, he did realize that you guys were out of all competitions before January, which is, I mean,
Sucks.
if
I
you're
mean,
progressing, it's a lot to take.
yeah.
Even though, if you're attractive and everyone's watching you, it's a lot to be like, but we're not really playing for anything. It's like
Yeah.
you're playing
I
for
mean, I
something
thought
just to
FA
get
Cup
better.
we had a good shot, but then we drew fucking City. And it's just like, like we almost that game we lost to that fucking corner kick in the 87th minute. Like
No,
it's just
you can't really. Those sting though.
oh, it
Those
stings
just
for sure.
so deflating. It's just like watch this whole game and our team is like at least competing, and then
I
that's
know.
how it ends, and you're
I
just
know.
like, fuck.
I hate it. That's the first goal that Pep has ever scored at Tottenham.
Oh,
Ever.
I think I heard it during the
Which is
match, but I
so
don't think
weird.
it
How
resonated.
under all these, even from Pochettino to Nuno to Mourinho to Conte to Ange, he had never even scored a goal at Tottenham. How on earth did that happen? No idea. But
Yeah,
that
that's
record's
football
gone
though.
now.
That's the genius of football. Oh man,
Yeah.
we broke so many records this season. This like worst start in this history. The first time that this team has beaten United since 1837. Like it goes way back. Like there's just so many records that we capitulated this season that I just lost count. It's like
Yeah. We
whatever.
started the best
Yeah,
we've ever started, and then we had the worst run we've ever had. So it's like,
yeah.
it's what it is.
That's
But
like
I
what
think,
Patrice Evra says it. I love this game.
no, it's a good season. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah,
I think it's a good season all around. So I
it's
mean,
competitive.
competitive. It's interesting. It's
Yeah.
fun. So I think we're gonna get back to our regularly scheduled programming after this. So look out for a pod next week. Sorry for the delay, but I think that'll wrap it up for today. Nice
Yes,
chatting
indeed.
with you, Sean.
For sure. Always a pleasure, my friend. Much love. And we'll see you and everyone again soon. Don't forget to, if you're watching on YouTube, to smash a like, share, and subscribe with all your friends because we have a lot of fun banter coming your way. Peace.
Peace.